What's up, everybody? Welcome to a very special edition of a Fireside Chat with our partners at DEXfinance. We are streaming over on Discord, but this is the simulcast. Give us one more minute and we will get started. All right, Jake, I think we're good. We are streaming to YouTube as well for those that want to listen to the recording. But yeah, man, happy to be here. Our first get together in a while. Both of us have been so busy building that we forget to kind of update the community on the Dex side. So yeah, man, how are you doing, Jake?
I'm good, man. Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming by, dude. It feels good to be on the host side, man. Out of the hot seat.
Yeah, bro, for sure. Well, I'll put you back in the hot seat, I think, from time to time. We're definitely gonna talk about Fusion, some major success on our side. I also want to talk about GDEX, and then after that, we're gonna talk about our plans and our pseudo roadmap for the future of what we call our franchise together. So yeah, man, this is gonna be a very informative AMA, right?
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I could do more of these. Most of my people know that I'm not huge on the AMA train like you are. But I like a little casual conversation with friends, you know.
Yeah, no
So I
doubt.
think this is gonna be a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
this will be a good candidate. Yeah.
yeah, man, no doubt. I know that's why, and we say this a lot, like the fact that we have, essentially merger with each other, merged, we fit each other's weaknesses and strengths very well. So, you're an amazing project lead and, visionary and, project manager, and LA and I excel in the AMAs and the community involvement side, the business development. So again, it's definitely been an amazing fit for both of us. And honestly, I know that we're the new kids on the block, but I feel like it has absolutely made our both of our protocols even stronger together for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I think maybe let's table some of the. I think there's definitely a lot to unpack there, and I definitely agree with you. I think maybe let's table that for a minute though, and maybe circle back to that once we kind of get into some of the franchise stuff. But
For sure.
honestly, I want to hear about Fusion, man. You know, I, first of all, congrats. Obviously, we've been kind of working with you side by side, helping to get you going on. So I
For
kind of
sure.
knew it was coming. But honestly, man, I'm super impressed, dude. I that I'm a trader. I'm a chart guy, you know. So I was, I was expecting success, but man, I wasn't thinking EMP was just gonna skyrocket like this. You guys are gonna claim peg back too quickly. So
Yeah,
I want to know, and I think I also too, I think, there's obviously a lot of overlap between our communities, right? So,
for sure.
I'm sure everyone's familiar with EMP. I mean, obviously, we both go way back in the Tomb Fork days. So I guess if you maybe just start out like I know Fusion can be a little even for me, who's been helping kind of work it. It can be a little complicated if you're not if you don't have an overview, right? So just give us an idea how it works, man. How do you get from way under peg to like up to close halfway to peg in like 3 days?
Yeah, I love it, brother. Yeah, Jake, absolutely, bro. So again, everybody knows, we've been working behind the scenes now together. It's funny though, even the dev team, we had a fun little code name for Fusion, and that was Confusion, because it is so, it can be very complicated on the surface. But yeah, I think that through the MVP, we really have come up with something that is somewhat straightforward and simple once you get in. But before we start explaining all that, yeah, I mean, again, it's funny how our destinies have intertwined at EMP and DeXfinance because both of us started as a tomb fork, and we all learned through the trials and tribulations of what uncontrolled inflation can do. You guys again, I think will go down as the only Tomb Fork to maintain peg, and then we are a close second. With a little more traditional methods. You guys used a little bit untraditional methods, but knowing, yeah, go ahead.
Not to
Yeah, 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 yeah.
not
Go
to cut
ahead.
you off there, not to
Yeah.
cut you off there, but just real quickly, as you mentioned that, you know what's actually crazy is like we are maybe a week or two away from paying off our escrow debt
Yes, brother.
from our Toon Fork, from our US decks, from our original Toon Fork, like you guys. So, and honestly, literally just struck me that like within the same month, basically, we're both reclaiming our pegs, so to speak.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Again, we didn't do that on purpose. Again, I mean, Jake can vouch for us. We've been working on Fusion, for over a year, and obviously, we had some development help in the beginning. Then DEXfinance, after we did our merger, they took over and made it even more powerful. But yeah, it's funny how it all works out. And yeah, I mean, to your point, it is about managing debt, and obviously, you guys did it a little bit differently. Um,
Different
yeah,
approach.
yeah.
We've been grinding at it for, we've been just chipping away at it for a year, and you guys, were going for the home run shot and did it in a week.
Yeah, yeah, brother. Yeah,
More dev time, but
yeah.
less, closer, quicker run time.
Yep, 100%. Well, and again, just to put some numbers to it, I mean, the whole idea with Fusion is that we do have a supply capped token now, so EMP is no longer inflationary. Our share token is inflationary, but it's very, very minimal, and we work under a halving model, just like Bitcoin, where the inflation is cut in half every year. So we fully expect that by February, each share will also be deflationary, just through the buy and burns in the marketplace. But all that being said, we kind of flipped it on its head. Um, Obviously, DEXfinance merged everything down into one token, GDEX, which we'll talk about after Fusion. But we took the more of a gamified approach. All of us at EMP, we definitely love our game theory, and that's how Fusion was born. But the fundamental thing to remember about Fusion is that it is the same concept of every protocol that we have launched over the last year in both franchises, where we focus on real yield. And again, because of that, you have a capped ownership within Fusion. Once all the EMP is sacrificed, then there is no way to get a position inside of Fusion without buying it from somebody else. So therefore, with a capped ownership, as long as we can continue to drive more real yield and more rewards to Fusion, then the APR will only go up. And again, it's a really unique model because we focus a little bit more on the actual passive income side, while GDEX just focuses on the pure price appreciation of the token. But either way, it's our both of our flagship protocols are now 100% sustainable, moving forward, and it will only get better with time because of that real yield. I mean, again, Jake, you are one of the biggest proponents of that from day one, where as long as there's yield coming in, it doesn't matter, if there are no more users, no Ponzonomics, none of that. So, yeah,
Yeah, man, I think it's honestly, I think it's a great. I mean, I'm super happy for you guys. I'm glad that you guys we're able to get launched, and I think like I said, the approach is just it just has to be that way. It just it's fun. It's fun in the beginning, but after the honeymoon with inflation,
for sure.
you just feel the pain. You feel the pain. So, and cool, you guys are taking a little different approach, with the gamification, things like that. But yeah, I think you're right. Like at the end of the day, I think people can kind of consider like your a stake in Fusion very similar to like buying GDEX, right? Where you're essentially the part of owner in all of your dealings, right? I know you guys have your hands in a lot of pies like we do, so
For sure.
um, that's how it works, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. So again, just to recap really simply before we move on to some other things. But yeah, I mean, the whole idea, and that's why we see the chart performing the way it is because we're essentially performing the largest buy and burn of EMP in crypto history, or of any asset for that matter, because we're the only way to earn within the new system is being a part of Fusion, and you can sacrifice your EMP or other assets, which will be a lot more important when we do recover peg. However, right now, you get what we call a peg bonus by sacrificing EMP while we're below peg. And that again drives that arbitrage mechanism where not only are we able to recover peg, but then we're also able to maintain peg because as soon as uh, somebody sells or the price of EMP goes below peg, then the rest of the community is incentivized to buy that EMP and sacrifice it because they get, a discount on that ownership, so to speak. So it is some very, next level economics, but it's really been working amazingly well. And with that peg bonus, as of right now, you're getting almost a 3x or a 3x on your actual microgrid value, which we're able to do that not through inflation or made up numbers, but it's actually, unrealized gains because once we do recover peg, that is the market value of your position. And so, all this will continue to grow. And the other really, really cool part of Fusion is that you always maintain exposure to Ethereum. So we have massive POL. Right now, a lot of that POL will eventually be reduced and used as another yield mechanism. But even with, say, $1 million of POL, that is 500K of actual Ethereum that will liquidity bond EMP. And as long as we're able to maintain peg, which again, we have all the mechanisms to do so, you still get exposure to ETH. So if ETH goes to, 4,000, I'm sorry, 8,000, right now we're paying 4,000 to 1. At $4,000 ETH, EMP would be $1. If Ethereum goes to $8,000, that means that EMP will automatically be worth $2 because of the way LPs work. It drags the price of EMP up with it. Again, assuming that we're still able to maintain peg. But yeah, it's been really powerful. Again, we're seeing the major success. And then, we did choose to honor eShare as well. Again, but we flipped it on its head a little, where in a traditional Tomb fork, eShare is more representative, or the share token is more representative of your ownership. Now, because EMP is supply capped, that represents your ownership, but eShare is also highly sought after because it will be the economic token of our entire ecosystem. So all the rewards, all of the fees, all the economic energy still has to go through eShare under the hood, so to speak, of Fusion. And so over time, because of all that volume on eShare, um, not only are we able to earn, from providing LP or POL on eShare, but we're also able to burn a bit of that eShare based on the volume. And so right now, eShare is a very low supply token. Again, I think there's only about 55,000 eShare in existence. And, over the next few months, we hope that it will be deflationary, which, again, as long as we're buying and burning, that is the only way to guarantee that price goes up over a long term. So, yeah, man, that's Fusion in a nutshell.
Damn, you guys, there's only 65,000 supply, huh? Was that you also mentioned your POL. I've always been a little jelly about your POL. You guys have always
Yeah.
done really you guys have always done really well with that. But is that I know you guys I know you made a lot of progress, a lot of headway with the POL use in your detonator program. Is that where the other like 35,000 e-shares went to?
Yeah, so I'll pull up the actual math right now while we're talking. But yeah, so we've always had, and that was one of the reasons why we had such an amazing success as a Tomb Fork, is that we had deep, deep liquidity. On top of other uh, what we call legacy contracts, like Detonator and Reactor, that also gave additional utility and game theory to our LPs. That is how we were able to, you know, really have amazing success, even with all the inflation that comes with a Tomb Fork. But to your point, yeah, I mean, a lot of the e-shares, so I'm looking at it right now. Um, the total token supply, yeah, is about 65,000, and between the Reactor and some other locked contracts, about 30% of that or more is locked up. So the circulating supply
Yeah.
is actually a lot less. Um, and we've already started burning. The burn address is number 9 right now with 1,000 e-share already burned. So yeah,
Nice.
it is powerful over time. And yeah, to your point, so we are honoring the legacy contracts, but rather than being able to just claim from those like you are now and sell, we are making it mandatory to sacrifice that those assets, which will literally eliminate the selling pressure moving forward. And even if you are not interested in EMP Fusion, you can always sell your microgrid to somebody else. So we're not handcuffing anybody, but it's a way that we're kind of again transferring the debt, so to speak, without ever impacting the price of EMP in the long term.
Yeah, sweet man. So I guess just the so a real dumbed down version. If if you're holding eShare or if you're already holding EMP products, you're probably already in a strategy right now. But if I'm coming in new and I'm looking at this EMP chart just going up 10% every day,
Yeah,
uh,
yes, totally.
I'm just I'm buying eShare off on PancakeSwap right now, and then essentially when you say sacrifice, you're just burning it. And
Yeah,
then for that sacrifice, you're basically getting like an NFT type of thing, like in the microgrid, which gives you access to all the real yield.
yep, 100%, man. Great explanation. So, yeah, in order to earn from the protocol, again, all of our real yield, which we're going to talk about on the second part of this AMA, but yeah, you are getting essentially a fractionalized ownership in an NFT called a microgrid. And yeah, if you're brand new to this whole concept, um, buying EMP off the market, and again, we use the word sacrifice for potential regulatory reasons. But at the end of the day, it just means deposit. And you deposit your EMP in, you start earning, and it's not a sunk cost either because at any time you're able to sell your microgrid on our secondary market, which again is your NFT, and you can even sell a fraction of your NFT. So, it may be hard to find somebody to buy, a $10,000 or $100,000 position. Well, you could sell it off $100 at a time, and this becomes even more powerful because at this rate, there will not be any liquid EMP left at some point. Because even right now, I mean, we've locked away, and again, it is a burn because uh, those tokens will never be brought out of the fusion contract. But again, it doesn't go to the dead address, just to clarify. But it's 100% a burn. And yeah, that right now we have about 22 million just liquid EMP alone that has gone in, which is, if you account for all the other EMP from the total supply that is locked up other places, it's about 55% of the entire supply that has been essentially bought and burned over the last, week. So again, that's really powerful. And yeah, I mean, moving forward, because there's only so much EMP in existence, at some point when all the EMP does enter into fusion, then we would get rid of the ability to sacrifice because there is no more to sacrifice. And then you can only get into Fusion by buying a microgrid from somebody else. So, and if the yield is so good that nobody wants to sell, then we're all just sitting back making money. So, again, man, the future is bright. So,
Yeah, man, very cool, dude. Honestly, like I said, it's surprising that we both kind of went down a little, started at the same place, went down different paths, and wound up being a very similar spot. Obviously a little different mechanics, but fundamentals are all very similar. The numbers sound real great, man. I'm holding myself, so I'm definitely looking forward to it, man.
yeah, no doubt, brother. I know both of us have and that's a beautiful part. Not only are we partners, but we also hold substantial positions in each other's, flagships for sure. But yeah, maybe you go into real quick, Jake. And again, if anybody has questions on Fusion, we can go into that. But you mentioned that you almost paid off the GDEX debt. Can you go into that real quick and how that will affect maybe some buying and burning, or again, I don't know the details of GDEX as well, and how, again, even though it's a different approach, it's very similar to how we want to manage the, perpetual growth of both of our protocols. So,
Yeah, man. It's funny. Like I said, it's the same end result actually, like almost literally the exact same result.
for sure.
Just two kind of wildly different approaches. The way that and I'm glad you brought this up too, because like I said, obviously we're getting close. A lot of people have been asking in the chat, so I'm happy to kind of give a little background and discussion on it. But basically the way EMP's doing it right now, right? Like I said, you guys spent a lot of time developing and got something really really neat and interesting that works, and then basically the community is now railing behind it. Everyone was holding those e-shares. I'm sorry, the EMP tokens now are sacrificing or burning those to get to the real yield. Literally, we did. It's like I said, the end result is literally exactly the same. However, we just kind of like we did it backwards. Basically, we just did it the other way. Essentially, when the Tomb Fork the 1 year period ran up, when we moved to Arbitrum and kind of started a different model, at the time I was of the I just I don't like holding debt. I don't like having things looming over my head. And I didn't I wanted to just have it like kind of take control. I wanted to be in charge of our own destiny, I guess. So basically what we did is in a similar fashion, like there was when the after the 1 year period there was essentially more supply in US DEX than there was collateral backing, right? Um, and again, that's just because of the nature of the Tomb Fork. As a elastic kind of flexible supply that kept the peg, as opposed to the new model now with a hard asset backing. Basically what we did was that overage, whatever we had over, was about a million, just over $1 million, uncollateralized. We just converted those to escrow debt, which is like basically V1 US DEX that has no market to sell. We offered 10 to 20% APR while we paid it off, and over the last year we've just been kind of chunking away at it, paying it down, kind of ad hoc as the treasury had funds, as we're earning from the real yields. And like I said, just it's literally shocking that almost at the exact same time we're both kind of coming full circle to that. So yeah, man, we're like I said, we're down from like I said, just over a million in escrow debt, down to about 65 grand right now, which is like just a huge milestone. And once we get that paid off, it's going to be a very large weight off of my shoulders and the team's shoulders. But more importantly for the community, what it does is it opens up our cash flow like crazy. we chose, like, you guys have really great POL. You always had great POL. But you were able to, basically with EMP being under peg, you're allowing that to slide, which is fine for the time, until you had the mechanism in place to bring it back up, which you have now. Basically, and maybe too also because we were pegged to a stable, you were pegged to ETH, right? You know, uh, like a US DEX that pegged to USDC under peg is just, it just doesn't work.
For sure.
It's not quite like EMP. It's a little bit different, right? There's no under peg stable coin that looks good.
Yeah,
So we just made a decision to, like, nip it in the bud, cut it off right at the head on day one, and just been kind of in this box, right, where, like, um, you know, uh, intentionally kind of leaving liquidity lower and doing more buybacks so that the treasury can accumulate more of the native assets in this debt paying phase, and expanding even our treasury. Like, all the debt gets paid back from specifically the treasury funds. It doesn't none of our revenue, specifically goes towards the debt, right? So it's really just been, on our investment treasury to pay this back, which is a burden. $1 million over a year. We've basically just been hemorrhaging money, 15, 20, $50,000 a week sometimes, trying to get this thing paid down.
for sure.
But on the plus side, now that, like I said, I'm hoping in the next week or two we'll kind of wrap it up. And we have, again, that basically that money that's going towards paying off this debt now. Maybe 15 grand a grand a week now is just like liquid disposable income for us, right? So, and I posted this in our chats before. I think some people maybe there is maybe some confusion that people originally had the idea that, like, as soon as this debt was paid off, that it would immediately go to the GDEX APR, which is not entirely the case. Long term, it will. Everything that the Treasury holds is essentially owned by GDEX holders in the DAO. But again, because we took this kind of the longer road getting there, we've had to sacrifice things like our liquidity, right? Even just in Treasury itself, right? Having, I'm actually thrilled, to be honest, that our investment Treasury is still sitting at like 400 grand, even with paying off $1 million in debt over the last year, right? So, over the next couple months, it's gonna be great paying it off, but it's still gonna be a kind of a slow burn. Our biggest priorities, once that's paid off, is POL number one. We need to make it tradable. Like I said, we've kind of left it intentionally lower because we wanted to get the debt paid off, and we didn't want to add just a ton of liquidity for to be used as an exit wet method when we're still paying off this debt. So that's going to be the first priority, obviously, and a lot of focus there. The investment treasury itself, right? We want to keep building that up. We'll divert a good chunk of funds there as well. In fact, actually, my more immediate plans, I started setting up some vaults with the GDEX, USDEX, and USDEX USDC LPs. So I'm adding, like, Pendle, GMX, ARB, Link, some good quality blue chip tokens, mixed with our liquidity tokens, and basically just every day I'm just starting to zap in a little bit, zap in, zap in. So, ultimately we're getting, again, power of the vaults, right? Like, basically doing everything in one step for me. I don't have to do any math. I just set up the vault the way I want them in the right allocations, and basically every day I just claiming extra revenue and things like that. Treasury rewards, and basically just funneling them into our POL and investments in one single vault. And then lastly is the marketing, right? And you know, obviously that's why we've teamed up, and it's been you guys have been a big help on that front, which we'll get into, I think, in a minute. But we've definitely taken a step back from our own personal marketing in a lot of ways. And part of that, like I said, is because we're so focused on developing. Maybe the budget's a little bit lessened because we're paying so much back to the debt, right? But man, honestly, we have a huge update, huge UI update. I shared probably some screenshots in our chats for the V3, concentrated liquidity stuff. That's getting a huge revamp, but we actually got inspired. We're adding a ton of new features, actually refactoring the whole app. So like literally, it could be like a brand new app, fixing all kinds of silly things with like wallet connects and things like that. So, POL, treasury funds. So we have a base to start with. To build that base and then marketing. So we're ready for the bull run. And then, of course, once that's all handled, we can once we have the base, once we have the POL, then of course the extra revenue will go back towards GDEX holders. But honestly, revenue's been up, man. We're like I said, we're in the same boat you guys.
For
I know,
sure.
like in fact, that's actually something I wanted to maybe touch base on, like, or a good segue, I guess, right? Because now we're at the point where like I said, we're both kind of getting back to peg, so to speak, debt free, building POL. We kind of have our whole we're in control of our destiny. Our bandwidth is we have bandwidth again, right? Um, so I mean, like I said, I know we both have our hands in a lot of pies, but what like one of the ways that we're trying to be more transparent, and I think honestly, I think it was a big help was updating our DAO to show the revenue in real time.
For sure.
Because again, like we don't necessarily have to put our treasury earnings, once the debt's paid back, we don't necessarily have to just immediately force those into GDEX holders, because they do have real yield, and we are earning, a portion that's with our partnership. So I guess you want to just run down maybe some of the Fusion kind of revenue streams,
Yeah,
give people an
absolutely.
idea how that works.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and again, this is a great segue because, obviously, transparency is number one for both of us. And I think sometimes and again, I don't want to speak for your community, but you can chime in. I think sometimes people don't see the forest through the trees, where we do have to kind of have some creative accounting. In your case, the number one thing was paying off the debt. Obviously the money is coming from somewhere, or these revenue streams and the debt and recovering peg, all of that wouldn't even be possible. So I understand that people really want transparency, and you guys have done an amazing job with the DAO page, which we also want to implement. And it's something that Jake and I talk about all the time. The hard part is it's a lot to manage, and we do everything we can to automate these streams, but because it's real yield, a lot of the times it is unpredictable. And one month it might be a couple of $100, one month it might be a couple of $1,000. And so again, I just wanted to touch base on this before we get into our revenue streams, because I think again people don't understand all that goes into it. And Jake and I, and again, I don't want to speak for Jake, but we're not professional accountants. It's hard to even take the time away from development, let alone automating all of this revenue. But yeah, do you want to touch on that a little bit, Jake? I mean, obviously, the way you have your DAO page set up is the ultimate goal for both of our protocols, for sure.
I think that, and also too, I think that's something part of our partnership. That's clearly something that we're working for or working towards.
For sure.
For you guys, and getting on the same page. And I think also part of the upcoming news regarding our partnerships and stuff, that'll certainly help provide that transparency and clarity, some of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, you're right. You're definitely right that there's sometimes it's never enough. I honestly, like the last week, like the treasure. So basically, any guys that aren't familiar, and you can see it right now on our DAO page. Basically, we just have live feeds from all of our. We have hundreds of contracts probably, but dozens of treasuries on multiple chains, different revenue streams from all of our different products, and basically you know the way it works is like, anytime there's a transaction, a couple cents or whatever we're making on that transaction gets put into like a treasury contract. And then those treasury contracts are claimed and dispersed, according to, whatever partnerships we may have, or, like for DeXfi products, split between the Dev and the DAO fund, those kinds of things. But I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, I was gonna say, like, this week, the treasuries aren't, there's no like exact schedule. They work on thresholds, right? So like, market's been a little bit red, so maybe they haven't been filling up as quickly. Like, one or two. Now it's all like fully automated now, and like it's in real time. But now, like, if it goes like a day or two without like a big claim coming in, people are like, is a Dow broken?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
where's that money at? Where's that money at, Jake?
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, bro. Well, and
Yeah.
that's what I was getting at. I mean, obviously, both of us have the track record now. We're not here to screw anybody. The ultimate goal is providing all of those fees back to our users. And again, that is the number one priority and always will be the number one priority. I just think, as we are growing and in this, very amazing transitional phase, until we are 100% debt free and back to peg and firing all cylinders, then that is when we really see the magic start happening. And yeah, I mean, to your point about revenue streams, as long as there are revenue streams and volume, that's all that matters. We're not reliant on new users. Obviously, we would love new users, and that always helps. But we have zero positronomics in anything that we do together or separately. And so that is really important because, again, moving forward, I think we're all bullish on crypto overall, and therefore the revenue streams and volume should only continue to grow over time, which, again, in theory, will only create more and more, uh, price appreciation or passive income to all of us. So right now, again, outside of what we have in our franchises, with Cedar Swap and Spark Swap, and we'll talk about some other, alpha next. But Fusion itself for us is a revenue stream, which is powerful. You are, you're not required, but you can always just compound, or what we call BBE, that builds your microgrid position. But if you want to cash out in actual tokens, you do need to buy a battery, and we have different cash out batteries in our marketplace. But the money you spend on those batteries goes right back to all of the microgrid holders as real yield. So we are again a self-fulfilling flywheel, not only from our external revenue streams, but also our internal revenue streams. Obviously, too, we still have a little bit of that inflation on eShare. That goes to Fusion as well. We don't consider that real yield, but it is yield. And then last but not least, we are building other things. Again, we'll talk about how that pertains to our franchise together. But we're also building a game, which again, the DEXfinance team will be helping on the crypto integration side, and that will be a major revenue stream for Fusion, and absolutely, a part of a cost reduction for development time with DEXfinance, or even a portion of proceeds from that back to GDEX as well. So we're building one big happy family here, and as we move into the real bull run, I think we're set up so incredibly well. Do you agree, Jake?
I mean, honestly, dude, perfect timing too. A little pullback recently, in the general markets, wrapping everything up. Everything's launched now. Yeah, I think we're in really good shape. Um, and again, I know you guys have always been really good at diversifying your treasury. I know you guys have, your own trading accounts, and
For sure.
we were just talking recently about, getting some more. I know you guys are. I know you're obviously already in the vaults already, but and we've been talking recently about, adding more treasury vaults for EMP and stuff. So And on top of everything else, like, I think that's the winning. That's definitely a winning approach. Be diversified and make sure you got revenue coming in from a bunch of different angles. That's definitely the way to do it, man.
Absolutely, bro.
Um,
And yeah, the treasury again to that point, and then we can talk about, more revenue streams incoming. Yeah, I mean, we both of us made the incredibly hard decision to not spend our treasuries on exit liquidity, especially a year ago in the depths of a bear market when our
mhm.
communities were, at each other's throats, with the downturn. But we both of us again made that decision to not just do buybacks like every other protocol and then literally have no treasury and then you're dead in the water at that point. But we built very healthy treasuries and yeah, I mean, we're looking at doing multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars injected into the vaults over the next couple of weeks on top of what we already have in the vaults and that alone can generate yield to guarantee very healthy APR in Fusion. And yeah, I mean I know again, Jake, we talk about this. We get high on our own supply, right, man? You use the vaults, you use the vaults for the treasuries, as well. I mean it's an incredibly powerful tool, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm exclusively our investment treasury at this point is probably like 98% in the vaults. And it's funny. It's funny you use the term high on your own supply. I mean, of
yeah,
course, it's in jest, but
yeah,
honestly, the way I look at it is investing in myself or investing in ourselves,
for
right?
sure.
Like, I mean, it's crypto, so I mean, obviously, there's risks anywhere, and we're both OGs in the space. We can, I'll ape into something here and there if I find it attractive. But honestly, we I believe in our product so much that if I'm gonna invest in something, I want it to be through through our own efforts, our own work. And also too, it's like one hand washes the other. Like I think maybe it's overlooked by some people that like imagine like I said, we have the DeXfi treasury is about 400K right now in the vaults, right? It's not a massive amount, but it's not tiny. And as we continue to grow, it's gonna add more to our POL, right? It adds more to our volume, right? So like basically, our own treasury is earning on it, which is helping us build more POL, more marketing dollars, pay off debt, right? But it helps like I don't know what is that like 7% or something. 7% of all the revenue, vault revenue right now is
For
coming
sure.
from specifically our vault investment. You know what I mean? So basically, even if like we talked about earlier, even if the passive income right this second isn't going towards GDEX holders, it kind of is because every week you're getting a little bit more or a little bit more APR because it's invested in the vaults, right? And I think that's important. And honestly, it goes even deeper than that. And like I said, I think we're kind of coming up on 50 minutes or so here, so probably a good segue into like the franchise stuff. But
Yeah, no doubt. I feel like we've
it all
only been
matters.
talking for a minute. Yeah. So time
Yeah,
flies
right,
when you're having
right.
fun. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, I mean, just like having everything under one roof. I mean, that was honestly part of my one of my core ethos or objectives when we kind of started getting right after the Tomb Fork launch. Was that we saw what Harry A did, right, and like Tomb itself, most successful Tomb Fork ever, right? Like just decimated, like within hours after their after their 1 year period, right? Because
Yeah,
they didn't have any products, right? They didn't have anything real. Um, so one of our main objectives was it's somewhat in jest, but I've always said like we wanted to be like the Apple of crypto, like end to end, right? Like and we've gotten some blowback because the old like adage like jack of all trades, master at none, right? Like yeah, sure. I mean, some of the development on things like the vaults, I know there's probably some angst in our community that like people want to see us just only working on vaults and things like that, some of our core products, right? I've been a little bit and I don't want to say delayed, but like, maybe we could have, if we just did one thing right, then we could have maybe given a little further along, right? But at the same time, then we wouldn't have all these other things, right?
For
And like
sure.
the revenue from those wouldn't be able to pay for the development work to get that shit, to get that stuff done, right? And like even going back to, what I was talking about with like the investment treasury, using its own products, and what that does for, yield on GDEX, right? Like in the same token, um, like stuff like our franchises stuff, right? Like, if our franchises, and we say that about, our kind of side projects, Pseudo Swap, Spark Swap, some of these things, right? Like, the more we can integrate with one another, right? People, when people use the vaults, if we have our own decks there, all the volume from the ETFs go back to the exchange, right? And it's just like this consistent cycle where it's always one hand washing the other.
For
Um,
sure.
so I think, and I guess also too, I'm not, we didn't really talk specifically beforehand about how much we wanted to, how much we wanted to let out. I know we were planning on a big, like a more detailed announcement this week, but I guess I'll just start for a minute. Maybe we can
Yeah,
kind of
man, run with it, bro.
we'll call, we'll call,
I,
we'll call back and forth.
yeah, man, you know me. I'd give all the alpha away. So it's probably better that it's better that you take the lead. But yeah, man, we have a lot in the works for sure.
Yeah, I said I think I'm pretty good with disclosing most of it. I think uh, let's just put a disclaimer on this. We're still kind of an early phase,
For sure.
and so we don't want to give out like specific details because we don't want to have to walk back from it, I guess, right? But let me just start by kind of addressing like over the last couple of days even, right? Like, obviously we posted about the Fusion launch, right? It's what partners do. We're having this Fireside chat, which is kind of discussing the franchise and stuff. And there's been some comments about, well, when are we going to stop? Like, do we really need partners? What are we doing? Why aren't we focused more on vaults, right? And not no one's, obviously no one's too upset about, but I'd like to just kind of address that head on. And first, just I guess at the core of it, right? Um, Honestly, when we started this, it was almost out of necessity. We have a huge dev team, obviously, and it's expensive, and two, it just takes a lot of time, right? So, it's really, like I said, we've said this before, right? It's really tough just to do everything yourself, right? So like at the foundation, right? The at the end of the day, right? It's like I only have so many hours in a day. The dev team only has so many hours in a day. Um, you know, if we're any other project, like I mean, we've all been in crypto for a while. I don't. There's no one putting out releases like we are, like on multiple projects, different fronts, updates, support, right? So like even with everything we're doing, we're still doing it at like a rapid pace. But at the end of the day, like I said, there's only so many hours in a day, right? And your team is really great with support and marketing and community engagement. And obviously, our strengths are in development. And honestly, it's one, it's been super profitable. Since the beginning. Everyone, both our teams have made a good amount of cash for both for our communities as well.
For sure.
So I got everything's been roses for me. Again, part of it maybe maybe there's some PTSD from bad partners that we've had in the past.
Yeah, 100%.
Which
Which we'll not name on this AMA, right, Jake? Oh man.
yeah. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's the kicker. It's really tough to find good partners. But without going into too much bromance, like I'll say with 100% certainty that I trust AJ and his team, fully with with basically any aspect that we're dealing with. AJ can speak for me on anything that we're doing together, and,
Yeah,
and vice versa. So
a hundred
it you know
percent,
it
man.
it
And we
yeah, it works,
reciprocate
man.
that, bro. And we again, not like you said, not to get too much into the bromance, but I mentioned it a little bit earlier, and it just works from a that we complement your potential weaknesses and you complement our potential weaknesses, and together we are much more powerful. And even, I mean, you just mentioned it, but even at the very least, outside of only being 24 hours a day, it also allows us to be a lot more economically efficient as well. I mean, the whole idea is that we want to keep our devs busy, right, Jake? I mean, if they're busy,
Yeah.
they're building products, and if we can have the yield to help share in that cost without ever having to sell our native assets, which neither of us do, I mean, that is a match made in heaven, right?
Yeah, well, and also too, it gets like it goes back to this like kind of the building in the bear mentality, and combined with like being this end-to-end service, right? Like, granted, yeah, like if we just did the vaults for the last year, we might have been a little further along, right? But we probably wouldn't be out of debt. We'd be struggling probably on multiple fronts, and we'd have one product that works, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're perfectly timed for the bull run. We have this whole suite of end-to-end products. I mean, like literally, the only major vertical that I really have left on my roadmap. I mean, obviously there's always more, but like borrowing, lending, that might be the next thing in down the roadmap. Outside of the more recent tasks, but for me right now, like I said, we have everything we need to kind of control our own destiny. I said that probably a couple times on this AMA, but it's true, and I'm just super happy that we're finally at a place now where like we have all the products. They're done. They're working. Most of them are actually on like V2 or V3 already. So it's not even like we're not even like worried about security or like functionality not working, things like major errors and things like that. At this point, really, it's just about like just really cheering out like UI, and then like you said, getting a workflow that doesn't just drain all of our time and energy, where we can kind of share in those things, right? You know, I guess, and that's kind of where I'll start with some of the franchise stuff. I think it's good. What's funny is like I think when we started talking about like SparkSwap even. It was probably, I think, because I had like these bots, right? We built these bots for, we've been working on bots for a while, for some of our own stuff, right? But, we spent a lot of time on it with like a probably, a better portion of, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, maybe even. I don't know, like with a good chunk of development, making sure we had like the best bots, around. Obviously not solely that we're always doing 10 things at once, but then we have this great product, right? And then what? Only people that are buying, US Dex gets to use it, or we utilize it. So, being able to use those products that we've already spent the effort to build on other things is awesome, and it brings in more revenue. The question actually came up yesterday, like, um, can we quantify how if the profitability of this partnership? And you can, I mean, like honestly, like you just go to the DAO page, like the DEXnet category. That's pretty much our bot network. I mean, obviously that includes some of the native stuff as well, but a big portion of it is just our bot network with Cedo and Spark, and even just part of like exposure and vaults and stuff. So there's definitely a lot of overlap on both sides. And like I said, I think it's a great fit. But that being said, the vaults, the V3 stuff, ALM, like that's obviously always been my baby. And to be frank, it's still the most complex. It's not nothing. There's nothing easy about the vaults. I mean, it looks easy now, but there's always stuff, a lot of planning and a lot of dev work always going into it. And that's honestly where I do want to focus on. But at the same time, um, you know, I don't want to just give up the other things, right? Like, we have a good revenue streams on all these other products. So, I guess that's where the franchise comes in and the partnership comes in, to where, again, I think we can help to manage the tech, and you guys can kind of handle the kind of day-to-day operations of some of that stuff,
For sure.
and we all win because of it.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. And again, that brings us to kind of the quote unquote alpha. I mean, we do have plans on really consolidating all of this under one brand. So we've talked about it in our own AMAs on in the EMP community. I know you've alluded to this for a while now, Jake, but I think that we're at a point right now, especially now that, like you said, all the verticals are accounted for. We have bots, we have bridges, we have swaps, we have perpetuals. I mean, obviously vaults. We have an NFT marketplace. Literally every vertical you could imagine that we can just pick off the shelf and deploy on, again, potentially any EVM chain, layer one or layer two. And I think the goal moving forward, which again we'll do big posts about this, but it really is to consolidate under one multi-chain mega DEX, right? Right, Jake?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a couple of things. I got a couple thoughts on this. A couple important things just to get off the top though.
For sure.
Um, the biggest things for me and for us, I guess, as a whole. Number one, I fucking hate inflation. We're
Yes,
getting rid of the inflation for good.
totally.
We're back. We're back. We're going back to non-inflationary. So this
100%.
means an overhaul of all the franchises, Cedo, Spark, um, even DexSwap, and we're even working on something on BNB for the native EMP stuff.
For sure.
That's gonna be a full overhaul. We're moving to a V3 concentrated liquidity model, right? So the liquidity actually will stretch a lot further. They don't require those farms don't require like emissions per se. We like I said, we're still working on some of the details, but and we will have a DEX token that won't, a non-inflationary DEX token that we may use for additional rewards. And of course, everyone will be compensated. We're not just blowing it up, right? If there's one thing we do really well is migrations. This one should be a breeze after everything we've been through.
Yeah, no
So
doubt.
yeah, so ultimately, everyone's basically at the end of the day, everyone's getting a better product, right? We're going to get a better app, right? All of these going to be under one chain, right? So um, this is important for a lot of reasons, but like TVL is consolidated, right? Like instead of a couple million here and a couple million here, we have one big DEX that has tens of millions, right? Exposure, right? People on SparkSwap can trade perpetuals on any of the chains they're on rather than having to like leave and go to different apps. Um, Consolidation of like the socials, right? Our admins, even ourselves, we don't have to bounce around to like six different channels to answer questions, right? It's all kind of consolidated. And even just using like the other products, right? Like people coming in for to swap, XYZ on this chain can, have a closer look at the vaults or, like I said, the perpetuals, things like that. So, yeah, I think it's really good on a lot of different levels. Personally, I'm most happy about this inflation, and I think it's gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. Again, and obviously, I know we gave a disclaimer at the beginning of this, but I don't want anybody to panic. I mean, Jake addressed it. Obviously, all the individual revenue streams, like GCDO, those 404s, obviously Sparkler on Spark. I mean, we will absolutely take care of those contracts and give the appropriate value, once we do and again, we're working through all the details right now, but once it does consolidate down into one, overall brand and overall revenue stream, distribution, nobody will be left out in the cold. So that again will be part of our full breakdown. But I guess more importantly too, Jake, which again I know we're going on an hour here, but I mean this move away from inflation is exactly what we talked about for the whole AMA, from what we've learned with the Tomb Fork model, but also it's about V3. I mean, the concentrated liquidity of V3 is not only the way of the future. Um, but again, it allows us to reward users for providing liquidity without having to actually give a reward token. And why this is so powerful in the long term is your ALM model. So, do you want to talk a little bit more about, the vault being able to manage V3 positions? I mean, this is a game changer.
To be honest, some of that might be better for another AMA.
All right,
It's
yeah,
a I mean, I think for sure it's a super powerful tool. And like I said, I'm honestly I haven't been this excited about a UI update for the DeXfi app in
for
like a
sure,
really long time. We're really putting sexy back into DeXfi, and with just a ton of extra functionality, including the ALM and stuff. So, once we get that out, I'm gonna probably do a. I'll get back on the AMA train, with you, and we'll do a bunch of stuff. A bunch of marketing, and also obviously with the debt being paid off, I'm planning on ramping up marketing budgets, and I really just want to make sure that the dollars spent aren't being wasted on people that might be turned off by the complexity of it and things like that.
for sure.
But I'll give you one great example, right? Is you know, just a real brief overview of concentrated liquidity is essentially it allows you to use like on a normal AMM like your standard farm, right? Like if you put in $100, right? It gets split evenly between the two tokens, so 50 on each side, and basically covers the entire scope of the price range. So if a token is $5, you're getting the same amount of value towards that, or same amount of liquidity at $5 as you would at $100, right? But with concentrated liquidity, you can say I'm just putting this liquidity on this specific price point. And again, one of the things that once the UI is done, I'm going to probably do a whole educational kind of series as well. But like I said, to put it in perspective, like concentrated liquidity is especially awesome for stable pairs, right? Like US DEX, for example. So one great example of this is obviously we have liquidity. We have US DEX on 3 or 4 chains now. With decent liquidity, right? But for example, the liquidity on like the 300,000 liquidity on SparkSwap right now for US DEX US DI. You know, if if basically you're getting that liquidity spread out all the way down to like 10 cents, which never happened. 10 cents is never bought or sold because it's trading at $1, right? So
For sure.
we could put that same like 300K on liquidity between 0.99 and 0.11, right? And now essentially that's like it's like the equivalent of having like $1 million in a normal farm, right? So, number one, and also that'll be part. This will be part of the of this kind of franchise merger is kind of scaling all down to one stable token, right? So all the stable pairs will be kind of consolidated anyway, which will deepen the liquidity. And then with the concentrated stuff, it'll deepen it further. And then to take it even another step further, um, because you don't necessarily need a ton of liquidity, we could potentially pop up, you know, maybe not full exchanges, but we could offer a concentrated liquidity pair for a US DEX USDC on Phantom or AVAX, and then add that to the vault so that people could use it as take profit, right? With minimal investment from the treasury, we could still make that work, and that's another revenue stream, right? So, um,
Totally.
I think it's a powerful tool in general.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and
And
yeah, oh, sorry to cut you off,
yeah,
but yeah, I know. I
no, no,
mean,
go ahead.
obviously, we can do a whole nother AMA on, ALM or V3 in and of itself. But where I was going with that is that this is a vital step migrating again to a V3 model, again, in partner with the vaults, because, obviously, as we continue to grow, having a ALM system that is compatible with V3, not only is that amazingly powerful for our own DEXs, like Jake just explained, but this is, again, a product market fit that very few protocols offer right now, and people are absolutely killing it with the concentrated liquidity farming. And if we can add a automated system on top of that, we have the potential to scale dramatically to the overall crypto market as well.
Yeah, man, I love it, dude. Um, Let me quickly also address, like, I'm already seeing a couple of questions in the chat,
For sure, I was
about how
gonna
this
go
kind
through
of affects.
questions. Yep, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, it kind of goes through questions about our individual projects and stuff. And I guess let me just clarify too. And I said this at the beginning. Like again, there's only so much time in the day. Um, you know, I want to focus on our core products. AJ and his team want to focus on revenue for their core products, right? So you know, at the end of the day, like there's still EMP, right? There's still DEXfinance, right? Those are still two separate entities, right? Like um, Fusion is likened to our GDEX, right? We both have our own governance tokens, right? Our own governance system, our own way of dispersing revenue, right? But in the middle, there's all this like kind of overlap, all this like kind of gray area where we have all these different products, swaps and bots and perpetuals and all these kind of side projects that we're already working on together. Kind of like we're already partners on it. We're already pushing it kind of together, but separately. This just really allows us to, like I said, um, focus all the efforts on a single D app, a single marketing strategy, overlap in marketing, that kind of stuff, right? So, and this kind like going back to we spoke a little bit about like the Fusion revenue, and like kind of compared to like our GDEX DAO. That's the model we're going to. Like I said, we both sell these separate entities, but I think maybe almost in a way to think about it is more of like a more of like a joint venture almost in some of this as opposed to like a complete merger.
For sure.
Like what I mean. So and obviously it's all I guess it's all one and the same. But as far as vernacular, the way people are kind of perceiving it, there's going to be no delusion in GDEX. We're still moving ahead. In fact, it's still deflationary. We're still buying back. AJ and his team still have their fusion model. They have their distribution contract set up. Basically, all this does is allows us to have a single brand, more exposure, and also like similar to how like our Dex DAO is all in kind of in real time. The contracts are all automated, and which by the way took me forever to do. Like that was not easy. Going getting uh, you know uh, 30 different revenue streams on seven different chains to all be tracked and claimed and funneled down like automatically like that shit sucked. But now that it's done, it's awesome, right? So and that's we're just trying to take that another step further where EMP essentially would have their same model. um, the partnership revenue that we get from some of the side projects like the swap stuff, maybe some of the perpetual stuff, that kind of stuff. um, Basically, we'll just act in the same way. You know, it'll all kind of be broken down. Some will obviously go back to supporting, the DEX tokens and the rewards for those individual products, and then the revenue, the partner revenue gets split between GDEX and the microgrids. So really nothing changes except for we're gonna we're going to be basically saving money on development costs. We don't have to like the see the marketplace was a great example, right? Like, we built this kind of marketplace for the 404 launch, and then built it again for CEDO or for Spark. I'm sorry. And like basically anything we do, like even the perpetuals, like one thing we got to do one thing on one chain or one spot, you got to do it 5 times. So um, consolidating those development efforts, consolidating the community management, marketing, like those are all like huge things at the end of the day, right? It's gonna make our overhead so much less, and our profits so much better because we're consolidated, right? So I think that's the move. And again, we'll have a lot more detail about all this. We're still kind of just planning in some of the planning stages, and even further than that, like one of the things we've talked about internally, and I'm sure I've said it a few times, but like this is really the first time where like we have all our products available to us. There's nothing really on the dev schedule, like hard. There's nothing really hard right now that we know. Like we don't have anything specifically lined up. So it's really great to have like just an open roadmap. That I know that people have been asking me about that like crazy. So we're planning right now. We're gonna we don't ever just jump in anything. So we're just in the planning stages of figuring out how and when this is going to be developed, how much time we can spend on, adding resources to vaults and perpetuals and the bot networks and upgrading Fusion, other side projects. So, but that's where we're heading, and we'll give a lot more detail soon.
Yeah, no, I think that was a great, again, overview. And yeah, I mean, when we say merger, we don't mean, dilution of GDEX and Fusion and what we call our flagship protocols individually. What we mean is that, you know, everything we're building moving forward under one umbrella makes it extremely powerful for, again, all the reasons that Jake mentioned. And, you know, again, I think it's not only is it going to be way more efficient economically in terms of costs, but it sets us up so perfectly moving into the bull run where we can be. I mean, again, by combining TVLs, by combining all of our product market fit, and having it all under one multi-chain DEX, so to speak. I mean, I absolutely think that we can compete with the Uniswaps, the 1 inches, the sushi swaps. I mean, we will be a major player in the game, especially having it all under one roof, because it just really eliminates the confusion for everybody. And again, I know a lot of people are still asking about L1 DEX. If we can use the L1X technology, then we'll explore that avenue. But even if we can't, we have the infrastructure and the tech right now to make this happen. I mean, again, with our bridging technology, we're already doing multi-chain swaps. So again, the it's really close. I mean, we're not talking a year from now. We're talking, enough time to capitalize on the bull run for sure.
Didn't want to give a you didn't want to give a date on that, huh?
No, I learned my lesson, Jake. Oh man, yeah, yeah.
No,
I'm
I think it's close, man. Honestly, we've already been exploring the V3 uh, exchange tech for a while now. Like honestly, a long while now. So I think we're actually much closer. I don't want to put a date on it either, but we're it's not like we're not talking like many months. We're definitely going to make some moves on this very quickly. Um, and I think I'm just looking at the chat here too. Like, one of these comments from like Roller Rob's asking like, what any more updates to like specifically pertaining to like the 404 Spark and Cedo. Now, like, this is like a perfect example of like, how consolidating some of these resources is going to help, right? Like,
for sure.
there's definitely been some issues on some of those bug stuff, but having this all under one roof is definitely going to solve all those problems. Um, to just let me say that we're obviously not disbanding anything, and we're not just stopping work on either Spark or Cedo at the moment. We're still we still have an agenda there, but again the focus definitely will be on getting all these franchises into a single exchange. So that is where the priority is going to be. And by the time we get to that point, like I said, all that stuff will transfer over. It'll just be again under a different app, streamlined, and everything should work like a charm.
Amazing. All right, man. I think we really did a great job outlining it. Again, this was meant to be more of a fireside chat kind of a presentation, but we will have a full, document, a pseudo roadmap, all of that in which we alluded to today. And we're still working on some final, adjustments internally anyway. But again, I mean, I could not be more bullish. I know that it's kind of cliche to say that, but if you knew, the amount of brain power and dev time and, math that has gone into everything that we do behind the scenes, you would be as bullish as I am, and Jake is, and Ellie is, and the rest of the team. So, yeah, man. All right. Any final words or any last minute updates? I think we answered all the questions.
Yeah, it was a great, no, it was a great chat, man. I think we got to most of it. Like I said, stay tuned. We'll probably put out an announcement this week, yeah, AJ, and then
Yeah, totally.
you know, once we get a little deeper into it, we'll give some more details. But yeah, man, everything's full steam ahead, man. Both projects are kicking, man. It's gonna be a. I don't think I've been this bullish
Yeah,
on any of our work for a long time. So
I agree, brother. Again, I know Jake and I talk, pretty much daily, and we've always said like, we're getting so close after, fighting every day for one more day of runway. Both
mhm.
of our protocols, man, with the real revenue, with the partnership that we have built with the dev team, with the resources, I mean, we are so close, to turning the corner. And now, especially with the debt on your side pretty much gone, and now we're launching Fusion, and it's been a massive success. I mean, literally, the stars are aligning for both of our protocols. And again, I think one more thing to highlight, which again, I think people maybe take for granted a little bit, is both Jake and I and our individual communities, we have absolutely been building nonstop for 2.5 years. We've never turned our back on anything that we've built. We have never given up. We have never had an exploit. Obviously there are some bugs that we work through and we catch them early if, without major downside. But no other DeFi protocol can make those sort of claims. And I just want to give you, a shout out, Jake, for all that you have done. And, I think moving forward, again, it's just going to be extremely powerful with us together.
Thanks, man. Same sentiment, man. Honestly, I feel like we deserve it, and honestly, more importantly, well, just as importantly, anyway, all of you guys deserve it too, man. We really do. AJ's fully right. We grind on a day-to-day basis. But honestly, without you guys, our supporters and token holders, you guys definitely believe in us and have stuck with us and haven't bitched too much along along the way. So,
Exactly.
um, you
Yeah.
know,
They're
you
allowed
guys
to
all
bitch
you
a
guys all
little bit.
deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you guys, yeah, we don't tell you everything, so it's understandable. But
Yeah, totally.
you guys all deserve it too, man. Fucking bull run's coming up soon. Debt's paid off. Pegs are reclaimed. Treasuries are getting fat, and revenue streams are kicking. So, lots to be thankful for and looking forward to.
I love it. All right, let's fucking go. Right on, Jake. All right, man. It was a real pleasure. Thank you for all of you that showed up. You can listen to the recording of this on the EMP YouTube, or I think Jake recorded as well for Discord. So yeah, we'll give you an update hopefully this week in a written form, and then yeah, just keep an eye out for Fusion and GDEX to continually show some good momentum. So, all right, brother, take it
Yeah.
easy.
All right, man. Good talking.
You
Talk
too.
soon.
All right, you got it. Bye
Catch you guys.
bye.